Okay, we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Before we begin, I always like to say the opening prayer, the Fatiha. Many of you are familiar with it, and for those of you who aren't, I'll just say a couple words about it because it'll be new for you and might be strange because it's in Arabic. We say this prayer because it's called the opener, and it opens our hearts to each other, and it also opens our hearts to our Lord or God or Allah or whatever you call your own higher power. And so we always want to open up to each other and to God so that when we go into the teaching, we are able to absorb it, not just through our minds, but through our hearts and our spirits too. So as I say the prayer and as we all say it, whoever's saying it together, just everybody open your heart and let the sounds, the sacred sounds of this ancient holy language come in and give you what you need in this moment. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين آمين. So take a breath in into your heart. Good. Okay, good. And just let the prayer come in and soothe whatever needs soothing and open whatever needs opening to whatever degree you can in this moment. Okay, good. So, I'll say a little bit about myself, not much because Master has said a lot and I want to get on with the teaching, but I just want you to know a little bit about my background and why this topic is so important to me. I think that the topic of love and relationships is probably one of the most central areas of my life and work. This is what I'm passionate about, as Master has said. And I'll tell you a little story that might help to explain this. My husband, Wadud, whom some of you know and many of you might have heard on the last 2 teleclasses ago, right before Salima's, Wadud and I married young, and like most probably of you or most people, we had no idea how to make our marriage work. We had very few role models of couples who were doing well together. So in the beginning, which was more than 40 years ago, and for several years literally, our marriage was pretty wobbly. The love was fading, and many aspects of our personalities kept getting in the way of the love and of connection. And we hit some pretty low points in those early years, and I often felt lost and I felt alone. And I knew that we weren't going to be able to keep going on the way we were, that everything was going to end. And we just didn't know how to create a deeper, more loving relationship. So I cared about this a lot, and Wadud did too. So over time, we sought out counseling and workshops and read books and took advice from different spiritual teachers, and we gained some ground. It definitely made a difference. We began to learn how to stop destroying the love, but even after, I would say, 10 years or 8 years, we weren't really thriving. Finally, after years of effort and soul searching, we discovered Sufism, the path that we're on now, and little by little we began to live the teachings that we were receiving from our Sufi teachers. And over time, over literally decades for us, and it's not like that for other people many people now have a head start, younger people who have found these teachings earlier. But for us, it took a while. We developed a love that's now something that we never read about in books or learned about in any of our workshops or in therapy chairs. Becoming students of Sufism was really our biggest turnaround. And what happens now in our marriage is more than I ever could have imagined. And I'll leave it at that. It's because it's not easy to describe in words, and it would take too long. But I just wanted to give you some sense of where we've come from, like even before Master knew us and before the challenges that you knew about Master, there were some other really big ones before that. So we've come a long way. And then I want to tell one more recent story, because this really relates to the subject of tonight's class about love and relationships. Last year I had cancer, and for those of you who have experienced any kind of a life-threatening illness, you know what I mean when I say that every single moment, every single experience, and every relationship is precious to me now. And I don't want to waste 1 minute spinning around in like mediocre relationships or in conflict with other people. I'm like on a mission in my own life to grow the love whenever I can and wherever I can. And if this isn't possible, then I have to do the inner work to come to terms with whatever's happening in the real world around me. So I just wanted to share that because so much of my life now revolves around restoring love, whether it's in my own life or in the lives of others. And I work with many people individually and also in pairs, whether it's couples or adult brothers and sisters or friends. I work with many people to help them get to the point where they feel the love is flowing again between their hearts. So I'd like to ask you to think about what you're hoping to get out of this call tonight. And I'd like to ask you not to multitask. And I know the temptation to do that because I tend to do it too when I'm listening in on teleclasses and on meetings. But I've tried to discipline myself more and more recently not to do that, and I'm asking you not to so that you can get the most benefit and value for what you're really looking for in this class. And I'd like to ask you to listen actively and to pull out of the class what's most important to you for what you want in your life. And I want to ask you to have a paper and pen with you so that you're ready to take notes. And at the end of the class, I'm going to ask you to write down 3 action steps that you want to commit to in your own life as a commitment to love in your life and to your own relationships. So I'm going to be quiet a minute to give you some time to sit with your heart and to think about what you're hoping to get out of this call and jot down some notes about this on a piece of paper. I'll give you a minute. Okay, I hope that gave you enough time. Now, the last thing I want to give you is my own phone number and email so that if you wish after the class you can contact me for any reason if you want help or support or if you have questions or comments that you want to share. So my phone number is 965-2129. 707-965-2129. And my email is Nura Laird, NURALAIRD, @gmail.com. Nuralaird @gmail.com. Okay, good. So let me begin by saying that we all need help to make our relationships work better. Knowing how to do this is something that we were not born with, and most of us didn't have good role modeling when we were young, and we can't really make it up from our minds. It's like, we really need to be taught, and everything that I'm going to tell you tonight either is something that I was taught or grew out of putting the teachings on the ground to work in my own life. None of it is something that I was born with. And I just want to let you know that I'm aware that there's all different kinds of reasons that people have called into this call, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and just to sense why I think you might be here, I would just like to list a couple reasons. Some of you are here because you'd like your relationships with your family or your friends or your coworkers to work better. And some of you are here because maybe you had a falling out with somebody that means a lot to you, maybe a best friend, maybe recently, maybe a long time ago, and you just don't know how to repair that friendship. Maybe you're here because you generally feel very alone and isolated and feel like people don't really understand you. Maybe you're here because there's certain people that are in your life that you like to avoid because they're difficult and you just can't get along with them. Some of you might be here because you are longing to find your real partner, your life partner, and for some reason it's just not happening. Maybe you fantasize about an ideal relationship. And then finally, some of you might be here because you've tried other trainings or workshops or teachings to improve the quality of your relationships, and you're still looking for that missing piece, let's say. And then there might be other reasons. Maybe some of you are here because you've achieved a pretty good quality of love with your partner or your family, and you just want to take it the next step. So let's look at these 5 keys and understand that there could be any number of keys. 5 is just what we chose for the class, and it's, realistic to try to present 5 and not more. These are the ones I've chosen tonight are the ones that are jumping out at me these days for the people that I've been working with lately, the ones that the universe is sending to me. So the first key is about love. And, when I talk about love, I talk about it from an understanding of what I've learned about love from Sufism, which the goal in the Sufi path is love. So there's a lot of teachings about love, and some of those teachings are teachings that I've never seen anywhere else. But we all have our own definitions of love, and it's a really loaded topic. And I think that it's a very misunderstood topic in our world, or at least in our society here. And the way it's represented in the media is often so far off from the truth. And I think that's part of the reason that people have such a hard time grappling for what is it and how to create it. And then the other thing is that we break the love without even knowing it in many different ways. And just as an example, we break love when we aren't really listening to each other. We break love when we don't understand or misinterpret each other. We break love when we turn away from someone's heart, or when we give up on someone and just decide we just can't make it work and they're not worth it anymore. We've tried hard and we can't do it, and we turn away. So those are a few of the ways that we break the love. And what I want to talk about here is how to build it. And I want to read to you something from one of the books of our guide, CD, and this book is called The Secret of the Love of God. For those of you who have the book, it's page 46. CD writes, this is actually the words from God. So when I read it's I is God. And this is about how God created the creation. I was a hidden treasure, and I love to be known. I manifested my pictures, and I loved to be known, so I created a creation. I manifested my pictures, my outer expressions. This is why I created you, to be my outer expressions, my mirror, so that you receive my love and actualize in me as my image, so that your food, your drink, and everything you need is from my love. Your whole life must be love, and love must be actualized between people through listening to my sayings and my commands, which I give to you because I love you. I gave them to you before, when you were pure, and your heart was devoid of hate and empty of all dirt and pollution. I want you to be in that state now, living with the pure water of love and beauty, and always raising your hand with the holy branch of the olive tree. Let the bird of peace sing its song of peace. Let peace spread to the people of the earth, all of them, and let the angels sing and join you in your singing, the songs that were sung by all the prophets and the messengers. Is it not time for people to remember? Remember that Allah says, this is your nation, one nation, and I am your Lord, so worship me. This is what Allah says. What else can I say? I wanted to read that because he's really placing the love central, so central that it's from God's love that God created us. And what that means is that we are all loved and lovable in our essence, no matter what. We are all loved and lovable in our essence, no matter what. This is the truth. And through purification of our hearts and through different kinds of spiritual practices, we can get to the point where we know this truth in our being, and this becomes our identity. I've found that real love is the cure to healing broken hearts, and it's a blueprint for more meaningful, strong, and everlasting relationships. When you learn how to bring this love into your relationships, you are actually bringing more love into the world. And CD says on page 28 of Secret of the Love of God, whoever misses love misses everything, because love is the secret of life. This is why people must be aware of and be careful not to break hearts or to destroy houses, because this is not a game. It should not be taken as a game. Love is from Allah, and this is why it was actualized and realized in the hearts of the lovers of Allah. It is a very holy thing, because it contains the secret of life. So when something's a secret, it's like it's a mystery, and in order to find it, we have to be on a journey to uncover it or to discover it, a journey of exploration. And what I was referring to earlier about purifying your heart and finding spiritual practices that work for you, this is part of our journey as Sufis in order to find the love that we were created from and the love that God put inside our beings from the beginning. So that's the first key, let's say. The second key is speaking the language of the heart. The language of the heart is literally like a new language. And once you learn this language, then you can communicate in a way that's authentic and clear and heart-centered, in a way that's honest and sincere and with compassion tunes into the heart of another so that they can receive what you're saying. When you speak the language of the heart, you feel connected to others at a deep level. And again, this is something that's learned. This is not something we were born with. So think about difficult conversations that many of us experience. These conversations can be transformed in a way that doesn't cut into the love. This involves speaking from the language of the heart, connecting to another's heart, listening deeply, and speaking from your own heart. When we do this, it opens up the flow of love and care between us. Many of us have already learned similar skills through our training as either educators, healthcare givers, counselors, whatever. But in the Sufi way, these skills carry added dimensions of a heart full of love and also guidance from the divine. We're going to get to that in a moment. The third key is to heal your heart, and this is the purification that I was talking about earlier. Heal your heart of what? Well, mainly of early childhood experiences that created pain and rejection and shame for us, and that led to feelings of separation from others and from God. For the Sufi, when we feel this kind of separation, we do a spiritual practice called Tawba, T-A-W-B-A, which means return. We return to Allah, we return to connection, and we use other spiritual practices and healing methods that can purify our heart of the wounds from our past. Because the problem is we carry those past wounds into the present until they're healed. When they're healed, then the veils that those wounds created are removed and our heart becomes more and more clear and pure. And then we're not living based on those past experiences. So this is where the healing comes in, and it's integral to the process of creating enriching and fulfilling and healthy relationships. The fourth key is dropping the need to be right. There was a time some years ago when Wadu night, of course, just like most people, used to have all kinds of fights. And something happened to the two of us some years ago, I don't know if it was like 8 or 9 years ago, where we started to outgrow our need to be right. And as we dropped it, we had no more arguments, none. And when I realized what was happening, I looked back and looked at all of our arguments that were all different kinds of things over all different topics. And underlying every single one was an argument about one being right and the other being wrong. And this is such a big deal because there's no room for love when people are trying to be right. I'm going to say that again. There's no room for love when people are trying to be right. No room. This is a pretty big thing, and through the kind of healing that I was just talking about a minute ago, this need to be right falls away. And I think it falls away because as our hearts purify and we gain more and more of an experience of God and of unity with God, then our needs get met in a way that makes us fill up, and then whatever was driving us to need to be right disappears. Because the need to be right comes from not feeling good about ourselves and needing to prove ourselves or needing to be better than somebody else. And those are all needs that come from wounds. And when we are healed, those wounds don't exist and the needs aren't there. And we are filling up with God's love and God's mercy and other of God's qualities. And so the need to be right just fades away. It's kind of amazing. It's not something, in my experience, it's not something that we sought out, because I didn't know until after it happened that it had gone, and I didn't realize what a problem it was till it was gone, and I looked back. And I just want to quote a line from the Sufi poet Rumi, which some of you might be familiar with. He said, "Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll take you there." Again, out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll take you there. That field is where love thrives. And so in my work with people working on their relationships and doing mediations, that's what I'm always looking for, is to help people get there, to that field. And the last key, which is really the first key and the last key, is to connect with the divine and hold that first and foremost in your heart and in your intention. I put this one last, but it's really first and last. Without striving to keep God in front in our hearts most of the time, we just can't achieve the healing and the purification that I spoke about that's needed to accomplish the type of loving relationships described here. We just can't. So from the Sufi perspective, underlying everything, we're focused on our relationship with God, and as we develop that relationship, more and more we're able to keep God first and foremost as the focus in our hearts, with everything else and everyone else after that. What that leads to is an ability to begin to see God in everyone and in all events. It leads to an ability to get a sense of what God's making through the different things that happen in the world and the different things that happen in our relationships. So that's the last key, but it's also the first key. Connect with God and hold that first and foremost in your heart and in your intention. So I'd like to lead us in an exercise now to put some of this in practice, just a little taste. So you can step back from your pen and paper and let yourself get seated comfortably and close your eyes. And just notice your breathing. And notice how you're seated in your chair. Let the chair really hold you so that you're really grounded in the chair and in the earth underneath it. Good. And now begin to pay attention to your heart the area in the middle of your chest. And notice how your breath is moving in and out of that area. Good. Now we're going to do what the Sufis call remembrance, dhikr, where we say the name of God in our hearts together. We use the name Allah. It means the God. I invite you to try that name, even if it's new for you, and just see what effect it has. So let's begin to say that name quietly inside our hearts as we keep our focus in our heart. Allah, 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 Allah. Take a pause, breathe in. Notice how you feel. Notice your heart. There's no one right way to do this, so whatever your experience is fine. We're going to pick it up again. So let's continue. Go back to your heart. Allah, 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 Allah. Breathe in and stay with that name. Keep saying it inside in your heart for a little minute. Okay, now we're going to take it the next step. If you can stay in the state that you're in now, begin to think about a relationship in your life that is difficult for you. Okay, and as you think about that relationship, notice the effect this has on your heart. And also notice the effect that it has on other parts of your body where you might have started to tense up compared to where you were before. Maybe your belly, maybe your throat, maybe your head, maybe your shoulders. Good. And you can see that the atmosphere has changed in the group even just because we're all thinking about a relationship that's not working very well and it's affecting us. It's changing our state from when we were doing the remembrance together. Now what I'd like you to do is put that person, imagine that that person is right in front of you. And this is going to be uncomfortable at first, but it might change. So just, if you're willing to do this with me and hang in there, give it a chance. So with that person, imagining them right in front of you, let's go back to doing the remembrance. And don't worry if it doesn't feel like it did before, that's normal. Just let it be however it is, and let's just see what happens. Okay? Okay. Allah, 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 Allah. Hang in there. Don't give up. Even if it gets intense, just stay with it and see what happens. Allah, 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 What does the remembrance of God and the presence of God do to the feeling that you had before when you were imagining this person sitting in front of you? Okay, I'd like to give you a chance to share anything you want to say about what that was like for you. Please keep it brief and to the point in case we have a lot of people who want to share so that we can give time for everybody. Mastura, can you tell them how to come off of mute?
Yes, actually, if you would just press *2 on your
Okay.
keypad, and then I'll unmute you. I'll call on you and unmute you. So press *2.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to press *2. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if they want to speak,
okay.
they should press *2. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So
okay.
yeah, anybody that has wants to share, just press *2.
And say your name before you say your question.
Yeah, and I'll call you. Let's see. Okay, so I have a wireless caller in Rochester, New York. You're unmuted.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Hi. I've followed what you've been doing for quite some time, but my biological family and I just don't get along because I've always been very truthful and they're not. And I've tried to confront them about things, and it's like talking to a brick wall. And they don't. They're kind of like hypocrites, They were raised Catholic, but what can I say? But yeah. So and it's hard for me to see it because I am a truthful person. I do come from my heart, but I've just kind of realized that they can't be a part of my life.
Yeah, that's really painful.
Right,
well, let me ask you something. What did you say your name was?
My name is Mariam.
Mariam.
Peggy Levy. Yep.
Okay. So, Mariam, when you feel them, I mean, you've been around them a lot, and you probably have a feel for them. So either as a group or go into one of them, and you don't have to talk about that person, but just from your own heart, when you feel into that person's heart, what is that person, what's behind that person's closedness?
I think it's fear.
Okay, good. Me too. Nice to agree, isn't it? So let's hang with it just a little bit longer, because this is a really good question, and I'm sure that your question is representing other people on the call. So it's really worth spending a couple minutes on it.
Okay.
So if there's fear there, let's just sit with it a little bit longer and see if we can get any sense about that, like let it unpack a little bit. Ask Allah to help you.
What exactly am I asking for?
You're asking to understand the fear a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a fear of an emotional attachment.
Okay. Okay, good. So that came to you how?
Just automatically.
Great.
I mean, yes.
Okay.
I asked a lot.
Yeah. And then it just came in.
Yes.
Good, Mariam. So, so fear of an emotional attachment, does that mean to you that the person's afraid that if they get too attached, that then if they lose the person, it's not worth it, they'd rather just not be attached?
That's not really what I thought.
Okay,
what I'm
tell me
feeling
what you
is,
thought. Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
what I'm feeling is, they don't want the emotional attachment because they'd have to be truthful, and they I forgot what the other one was, but
it'll come to you. Don't worry. Just receive from Allah.
they don't want to admit they're wrong.
Okay. Now you know that that's not the bottom of it, right?
No.
There's other things below that, other wounds and pictures and conditioning.
Right.
Yeah. And it's helpful to ask yourself, what if they did allow the emotional attachment, and what if they were proved wrong, or what if they found themselves having a hard time with honesty? What would happen for them then? And this is just projecting in your imagination, but it might be linked to what they're afraid of.
Maybe they're afraid of being loved.
That's very profound. I think that's often true.
Wow, that just gave me chills.
Then that probably means it is true. It's probably a confirmation. So, given that, Mariam, you're approaching them, and you're go ahead.
Yeah, it makes me feel silly now. You know,
really?
that I in a way, it feels it's like this life is so short, and then we make such big things about everything, and we really shouldn't. Yeah.
Well, can we take it one more step, Mariam, just for the purposes
sure.
of your situation and the teaching? So, given the wisdom that's coming to you now, you're feeling silly. I'm calling it wisdom and insight. Now you've got to reframe on the person. Maybe this person's really literally afraid of love, which is a pretty big deal.
Right.
So when you approach that person, do you have a sense of how you might approach them in a slightly different way?
To accept them the way they are, and kind of send them love.
Beautiful. And in sending them love, my suggestion would be, since they're afraid of it, to ask Allah to help their hearts to receive it from you so that your sending is worthwhile.
Okay.
That's what I always do. Whether I'm working with a client or in my own life with people, I always ask Allah to help people to receive whatever I feel inspired to send, because many people's hearts just automatically push things out that are coming in, because for the same reason that you're getting, because they're afraid. They're afraid of love. They're afraid of goodness. Yeah. And I think just in general, Mariam, what my sense of what shifted in you was like a turnaround. You went from, your needs with the family, your needs weren't being met, your need to be honest, to be open, to have a certain kind of relationship wasn't being met. And now what happened through Allah is you were shown this particular person's need or lack or fear. You could call it any of those things. So now the focus is on that person and what they need, rather than on what you need.
Right.
And in Sufism, this is what we call iman, wanting for another what we want for ourselves.
Yes.
And it's a very holy thing to have that shift happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mariam.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Is there anybody else that'd like to share?
So, Nura, how about if I read a question from the webcast that came on from the Q&A?
Mm-hmm.
It says, and then we can go back to on the phone if there's time. All right, so it says both my sons are smoking pot, and I've asked them to stop, but they won't. I feel so stressed and angered at them. How do I really get through to them in a loving way?
That hits home, as you know. Many of you know that hits home for me. In the past, it was worse than pot, but it's over. Inshallah, God willing. Gosh. Oh, the things that I have to say to this person are not easy to say, but they're things I've learned from being the mom of an addict. And I'm not saying that you are the parent of an addict. I'm just saying that this is what I've learned about the whole world of using substances. When you're speaking to somebody who's currently using or recently used, and it's still in their system to a degree, and it takes a long time to get that stuff out of the system. The problem is you're not speaking to the person that you think of as your sons. You're speaking to the substance. Because when people are using a substance a lot, that substance basically it's in front of them. It's in front of their being. It is a veil. And it's not them. It doesn't take away from the essence of them that you know and love, but it covers it. And in that sense, they can't feel their essence. And you might know their essence behind it, but you're not able to get to it because the drugs create a buffer zone. And I've seen the buffer zone when I've worked with people. It's like fog. And it's really hard to get through that fog. So I don't mean to sound hopeless, but as long as somebody's actively using, we can't really reach them. So no matter how sincere you are, no matter how honest, no matter how much you say things like, I really want to have a real relationship with you, like we used to have, or something like that, they hear it through, like Tennessee Williams said, like through a glass darkly. They're not hearing it from you. They're hearing it through a smoke screen. This is what I've been taught when I went to Al-Anon and started reading certain books and learning about that whole world of substance use. So I don't really have a good answer for you, but I am willing to engage in more of a conversation with you about it privately if you'd like, and we can arrange that if you want to email me, nuralaird@gmail.com. Thank you for the question. Mastura, do we need to stop now or at 6:30? Because I've got a little bit more to go.
Okay. Do you want to teach some more, and then we can, if you have time, pick up for Q&A later?
Yeah,
we don't
that's good.
have to stop now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody who needs to go now, we won't be offended. Feel free to go. I want to give you a little bit more. The first one is to read some poetry from the same book I was reading from before. Yeah.
Nura, can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I want to say, if there is anyone who needs to go, I want to invite you, if you didn't get your questions answered and you need to drop off, we do have a way for you to get your questions answered. And I'll just give you a couple of email addresses that you can email, and they can get you to the right people.
Good. Great.
And I'm going to do that quickly so that Nura can go on. The
Good.
first one is enrollment at sufiuniversity.org, and that's Robert Shea, Mookman Robert Shea. So it's Robert, his email address is enrollment at sufiuniversity.org. The other one is Donna Jamila Cruz Finney, and her email is Donna Jamila CF. Donna Jamila CF.
Why don't you spell Donna Jamila, Mr.?
Oh, thank you. Yes, Donna, D-O-N-N-A. Jamila is J-A, M as in Mary, I-L-A. C as in cat, F as in Frank. And her, that's at gmail.com. And you can reach either one of them. They're amazing. They've been around these programs for a long time. They can help you with a lot of it. They can also get you to the right person if they can't help you. But they're amazing people, and they would love to take your call, your emails. I give you their phone numbers also. Robert Shea is 717-552-1925. It's 717-552-1925. And Donna Jamila is 512-775-7126. 512-775-7126. And God willing, we'll have time to open up for some more Q&A at the end. So if you can stay, that's great. But if you have to go, please don't leave yourself hanging or anything. Please reach out to one of us. Thanks.
And again, my email, Nura, is nuralaird@gmail.com. And I'm just going to take another 10 minutes. So if you do need to go and you're wondering when I'm going to end, it's going to be in about 10 minutes. Okay, so I'd like to read a couple lines of poetry, again in the same book I was reading from before, The Secret of the Love of God, page 238. O you who is complaining of the fire of longing and long waiting, be patient, for it may be that you will meet your beloved tomorrow. Strive to walk towards him by the fire of your longing, for you may find in the light of kindled passion a guidance. O you who is complaining of the fire of longing and long waiting, be patient, for it may be that you will meet your beloved Allah tomorrow. Strive to walk towards him by the fire of your longing, for you may find in the light of kindled passion a guidance. And I wrote in the margin of my book, let the longing in your heart lead you. I think there's a line from Rumi that sounds like that. So, I want to make sure that you've got the action steps that I talked about in the beginning based on the 5 keys and anything else I've said. 3 action steps written down. And if you don't have them all, I've got a few suggestions. If you're new to this work, I encourage you to do 2 things. Go to the sufiuniversity.org website and buy the Remembrance Kit and listen to the Remembrance CD that Wadud made every day. We hear from many people that they listen to this every day. The remembrance itself that he guides is short. There's a preamble that explains it that you don't have to listen to every day. So that's one thing. And the other thing is if you can, find a workshop in your area that you can attend for a day or a weekend. When you're able to spend time with these practices and teachings in a concentrated way for a day or two with a group of similar-minded people, your body, mind, heart, and spirit absorb the transmission and the teachings very deeply. And this can really lead to a lasting effect for you. And if you do go to the SufiUniversity.org webpage, there's a bunch of free things there. On the webpage, one is the 7-day e-course on remembrance that has live weekly remembrance calls. Another one is that you can register for our next free teleclass in this series, or you can register for the whole series and get the recordings of the ones that have already happened. Another one is you can sign up for a free consultation with Muhmeen Robert Shea through the website. And another one is that you can click on our academic programs and pull down to the Masters of Divinity programs and read more about where our 4-year program is headed when our students start to do their 4th year, their master's year. They might be headed to a Master's Divinity in Ministry, a Master's Divinity in Healing, or a Master's of Divinity in Peacemaking and Healing Relationships. And you can read all about those 3 programs on the website. And then finally, I'd like to invite you to consider joining our 1st-year class that begins November 7th. Some of you are new and you've new, but you haven't been to the university, and you've been on a number of these calls, and you've really been getting a taste of the teachings, and I know that some of you are drawn to them, and I just can't tell you enough how transformative it is to be in a class with us, to join the 1st-year class and really let your life move along that journey that we're on. You don't have to be a Sufi in any way to join the class. There are people that go through the whole university and don't become Sufis, and that's fine. But you still partake of the journey with us, and it's a journey of personal change and transformation, journey of gaining proximity to God that's like nothing else that most of us have ever experienced anywhere else. Sorry, I didn't know how to stop the call waiting on this phone. But anyway, those are my my tips or invitations. And now, for those of you who want to stay on the call, I'm open for any questions or sharing or comments, or your action steps if you want to share them. So just press *2 and come on the line. And anybody else who needs to leave, feel free to do so.
Oh, goodness, we had somebody that had a hand up, and looks like maybe they just took it down. Oh, okay, wait a minute. I think you just, how about S. Eunice?
Oh,
S.
yeah,
Eunice?
this is, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, my name is Mubina. And thank you for this wonderful program. It was wonderful. Actually, I have been practicing a little bit of zikr. I live in San Jose, and there is a center. They are also doing that, but they just do the zikr, but they don't do, other like the teaching thing. So, and I'm trying, and I'll just stay to the topic. I'm also struggling, with relationship, like with my husband and with my in-laws. It's a very common thing, Like I have a problem. Like my husband, he doesn't understand. Like sometimes his family, when they are mean to me, he's always on his family side, and that frustrates me a lot. So, and that is ruining our relationship.
Yeah. This is common, and I'm wondering if people who are born Muslims are taught that when they get married, their first loyalty needs to stay with their family. I wonder, that's the sense I get from working with people in your position. I have a feeling that that's something that is a custom in some cultures. I don't think it's the way of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad, because he was very loyal to his wives no matter what. But I think that it is a teaching in some cultures, and it is very hard on the spouse who's dealing with the in-laws and the other spouse who's from those in-laws. Let me just, I haven't ever really sat with this one deeply to see if there's anything that can be done. Can you just give me a minute to search inside my heart? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it isn't just that culture. I realize that there's plenty of American families who are, born and raised here who have similar conflicts where they are afraid that if they do anything counter to their parents in deference to their partner, that something's going to happen in their family relationship. And just like the woman Mariam said before, I think if you look deeper in his heart, underneath his leaning his heart towards them, you might find that there's fear there. Now, I'm not justifying it. I'm just trying to give you some insight, because sometimes if we treat it on the outer level of what's happening, it doesn't work because we're not getting at what's moving the outer words and actions that comes from deeper inside.
So
do you follow?
What could be the fear? I mean, what?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. What I've noticed with a lot of people I'm working with is that if they go against, even adults, if they go against what their parents' life is or their parents' culture or their parents' values, they're afraid that that's going to end the relationship.
Okay.
Now, it's really more important in our way, in the Muslim way, it's more important, your relationship and your marriage is actually more important than his relationship with his parents. But as you know, the Prophet ﷺ talks about honoring our parents all over the place, and especially the mother. It's not easy to find teachings that say, okay, how do you deal with it if your wife and your mother are at odds, But I think that it does help to have some insight, just like what happened with Mariam, into what might be at stake for him. It doesn't mean that you go along with it, but when you reach out to his heart from a place of understanding that and help him to understand, you have to be careful because, some people are offended if you and understand things about them that they don't understand about themselves because they're not conscious of it, But if you had a conversation with him and just asked him to share with you what it is that that he might be aware of that's behind that kind of loyalty that even puts the marriage at risk, just because you say you really want to understand it, not because you're coming from your own point of view, but you're coming from the point of view of wanting to understand him better. People usually have wounds around feeling not heard and understood. And so when somebody reaches out to somebody and says, can you help me to understand why when there's a decision or a choice between me and your parents, what's behind you choosing them? Can you help me to understand? You're not setting it up as a conflict or as a no-win situation. You're just setting it up as an exploration from a place of open heart and open mind. And you might be able to help him get to the point where he understands something about himself that you understand that he doesn't understand yet. Then the next step would be, if he does get to the point of understanding, well, I don't want them to disown me. Because that's often the case. People are really afraid of that. But they might not be conscious of it, or they might not be willing to say it because it feels like it's such a taboo, People don't want to say stuff like that. But then you can just be understanding and say, well, yes, I understand. That would feel really terrible. I would be afraid of the same thing. is there a way that we can move forward in a win-win situation where it's not either them or me, but it's both? Are you willing to explore that with me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? It's a spirit of exploration, and I don't know if you were on the call when I talked about right-wrong thinking.
I was.
Yeah. Well, that's where it's caught. He's thinking they're right and you're wrong. You're thinking he's wrong, they're wrong, you're right. Yeah. So you're not in that field beyond there, and it's a no-win situation for you. You know what I mean? Okay. But if you approach him from a place of this field of exploration, it's what people are calling these days the third space. It's not my space, it's not your space, it's a third space.
Mhm. Okay.
And you know what? I would be really happy to talk to you more about this. We can make a time, to look at your situation more and to help you, because I feel like I went through the steps really quickly, and if this is all new for you, I wouldn't expect you to be able to implement it right away.
I can try.
Yeah. I think you're getting a sense of what I mean, but in terms of next steps and moving forward with it, I'd like to give you a little bit more handle on it privately.
Yeah, and also like the forgiveness part, because when there was time when they did something, and I'm still hanging on to that, and I try my best, to forgive, but then again it's coming back, and the reason is because my husband, the same thing, because he is always on their side, and I think that's the reason that I cannot forgive them.
Yeah, of course. Well, you're feeling marginalized, and that doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah.
It's not the right position for you to be in, and you're not being honored the way the woman should be honored. Our teacher, C.D.L. Jamal, is always saying the woman is a holy jewel, and she needs to be honored and treated like that. So there's a reason why your heart hasn't been able to let go of it, and it's understandable. But we can talk about that too, okay? Because this is about, we're getting into healing now, and to letting that veil from your heart fall away. But it's got to be accompanied by a shift on the outer in this imbalance between them and you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I practice what we did right now, the zikr, if I practice that with them, like keeping
that
them
can really help. I've noticed many times we do our work, and then there's a ripple effect out to the other people, even though they have no idea what we're doing. And sometimes there's a softening. So yes, that would be a really good thing to practice.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Is there anybody else who wants to make a comment or ask a question?
Yeah, I'll go to another question that's on the webcast, and then we have a couple more still on the phone line. Okay, this one it says, is it possible that even though you might have realized someone's harshness through this exercise, you might also have noticed a lack of truly bright love within yourself?
Oh, yeah. We're all human, I mean, one key to loving relationships that I didn't include tonight because it's so deep, it's a topic in and of itself, and it needs a whole teleclass. It needs a whole couple of years, is the teaching about the mirrors. What hits us couldn't have missed us. I'm sure some of you have heard that before. And then there's another saying, everything that manifests to us is from us, for us, and is us. Everything that manifests to us is from us, for us, and is us. And I take that to mean that everything that I'm aware of out there in my life and in the world is mirroring something about something inside of me. It's an outer reflection. And it's similar to the statement, as above, so below. This is a statement as outside, so inside. So if I'm aware of the harshness in people around me And then I do remembrance and begin to see through the eyes of God, which is what happened to this person who asked this question. You started to really see. Then I become aware of something inside of myself that needs to be purified, that's actually linked to the harshness. And this is a huge teaching, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of spiritual growth and mastery to work this teaching. This is what we do in the Peace Masters program. We do it in our university in general, but we especially do it in the Peace Masters. We really need to clean the things that might be linked to what's, quote, happening to us on the outside. So an example would be, I have a really good example from my own life with one of my daughters. When she was 15 and 16, she went through a phase where Mom was the condemned one. She was just like always mad at me for everything. And I actually later read a book about teenage girls and found out that this is a really common phase that teenage girls go through around that age, but my other daughter hadn't gone through it, so it kind of took me by surprise, and it lasted for a couple of years. And finally, I started saying to her, you need to get healings on this. Because we were doing, in our family, we had all been to the university and we were all getting healings. And she said to me finally one day, well, Mom, you always taught me that everything's a two-way street, so why don't you get healings? Out of the mouths of babes, right? Not that she was a babe, she was pretty old by then, but this is the way our children teach us. So I did. I actually did get a healing that very day because I was like, oops, got to follow my own teachings, right? I got to walk my talk. And I did. And, you know, it had been this 2-year bout with her of her being just really ugly with me all the time. It was like nothing that I did. I couldn't win with her. And when I got the healing, I uncovered this place in me. In spite of all the work that I had done on this topic, still wasn't fully cleaned. And that was a place of not feeling good about myself. And so in the healing, I worked on it that day really, really deeply because I just was ready to be done with it completely. I'd worked on it a lot before, and this was like God was using my daughter to show me that it wasn't all done. The work wasn't all done. So I went home, and that night when we had time together, I went up to her and I said, I did what you said. I got a healing today, and I need to apologize to you. I had been feeling that she was the one in the wrong, you know what I mean, like she was to blame and I was the one right. In those days, I didn't know about this out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing. So I apologized, and I said, in the healing, I discovered this place where I still wasn't feeling fine about myself, and now I realize that it was your job from God, really, to show me that place, and I'm really sorry, and I think that place is now cleared. And do you know, I'll never forget, this was right around Easter when she was around 15. She never did that behavior with me again. She started into it maybe, this has been like over 15 years, and she started into it a couple times, and she caught herself and backed out. I mean, I'm still amazed when I tell you about it, and I've told lots of people this story, but this is one thing that I've learned about how these things work is if I handle what's going on inside of me and keep purifying my heart, my outer world changes. And that doesn't mean that there's never a place for me to go and work it out with the person, like sometimes with our husbands or our in-laws or whatever. Sometimes there's a place to work it out. But like the First Lady's question, sometimes the family isn't willing to do any of the work. They're just kind of stuck in a very rigid place, and so the only person that can do the work is the one who's open to it. But I've seen that work too, in my own life and in the lives of many other people. I've seen that have an impact too. So we just go wherever the door is open, and we begin to do the purification there, and we wait and see if there's any kind of an opening out there with another person. What else, Master? What else have you got?
Beautiful. Thank you, Nura. Okay, so I'm going to go to Mary in Aurora. Okay. You're now unmuted, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Assalamu alaikum, Nura. How are you?
Oh, Mary, yes. Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. I have a question. It is not related to your course, the first one.
Okay.
But I thought that I was registered on all the 7 free classes, and I have had to register for each one. I missed the one last week because I had a very bad migraine.
Oh.
So what do I have to do in order to get the recording?
Good question, Mary. There's probably other people who have that question. Mastura, do you have an answer for her?
Yes.
Go ahead.
If you go to if you go to, there's a page where there's a lot of things that Nura's talked about that where it's really easy to find it. SufiUniversity.org /info, INFO, as short for information. So SufiUniversity.org /info. You'll see, I believe the middle option on the top row there is for the teleclass series. And
the Journey Home Essentials for Living a Life. Okay.
Yes, that's this series. If you click there, it'll take you to the registration page, and there's just at the top right, there's a thing that says register for the whole series, and that should get you the registration for the whole series. So you are.
I think she said she registered for the whole series.
Is that where you registered before?
When it first came out, the email came out, I registered for the whole series, but I have had to register for each one of them separately.
I'm not sure why that's happening. I tell you what, how about if you email me and I'll look into it? If email me with your so I'll have your email address that you signed up with, and I'll look into it and see why, because that shouldn't be happening.
What is your email, Mastura?
It's Mastura, M as in Mary, A, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, URA @SufiUniversity.org. So it's M as in Mary, A, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, URA @SufiUniversity.org, and that's S as in Sam, U, F as in Frank, I, university.org.
I have it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to say, in case there's anybody else listening that is having a problem getting any of the recordings or any of the emails, give me a call and I'll see if I can't figure out why and what's going on there, and we'll make sure you get the links to the recordings from all of the past ones, as well as make sure you're on the list to get information and notifications about the upcoming ones. We've got some amazing, the classes that we've had so far have been fabulous, and we've got some amazing topics coming up as well.
So, Master, I noticed there's another question from Oracle America in Los Altos. Can we take that question?
And
absolutely.
The other question that I had is, I have a family relationship between my sister and my mom that is not working. And I would like to see that that relationship work better, especially for my mom and my sister, because I'm way removed from where they are. They're all the way in Mexico, and I'm here in Colorado. Is there something that I can do to promote the opening of their heart?
Yeah, I think so. I think what you want to do is find the one that's the most open, that tends to be the most open, and just work with that person.
Okay.
So which one tends to be more open?
It's difficult to say. Both of them are very strong-headed. I will try my sister first.
Yeah, that's my sense.
Probably.
Yeah.
And
So in general, Mary, and for everybody here, when somebody is stuck like that, it's because there's a need underneath that's not being met. And
the issue is that ever since my sister was a child, she had a very tense relationship with my mom. And so that has carried forward to their adult lives.
Yeah, but that doesn't contradict what I'm saying. That can go along with what I'm saying. Back to something you can do something about, because you can't do anything about that, what you just said, but you can do something about if you can go into her heart and figure out what need hasn't been met, whether it's a need for respect or acceptance or acknowledgement or being heard or being understood. Usually it comes down to that. But anyway, she's got her own version of it. And if you can then help her to connect with Allah and let Allah fill her heart where that need is, just like in a healing.
So do a healing with her if she is open to it?
Yeah, but specifically finding the place where the need hasn't been met, because that's why she's holding out against your mom, because she feels like your mom's not meeting a very important need for her. I think that's why.
Yeah, and I think that now that my mom is widowed, she's also feeling a need that hasn't been met by my sister. And so
yeah. Well, the thing is,
issue.
yeah. Well, the child is the one. It's not for the child to meet the parent's needs. Let me just say that. And your sister can't meet your mom's need if she's feeling empty and not met herself. She needs to connect with God and let her heart begin to fill from God before she can be asked to give to your mom.
Yeah.
That's where to begin. Okay?
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I want to make sure this person who's been holding his hand up for a long time in Los Altos, Mastura, can you see that?
Sorry. So you're now unmuted.
Oracle America, Los Altos, do you want to speak? Are you still there?
You might have muted yourself. I unmuted you, though. You're unmuted on our end. So that's Los Altos, area code 650.
Hi, Nura.
Yes.
Hi, Nura.
Who's this?
This is Farhana, and I think that must be my number because I'm not sure. My husband does work for Oracle, so maybe I raised my hand and I know what I'm doing. So
okay, good.
I wanted to thank you so much, and I've attended one of your workshops, and I think this one was really very, very nice, and it brought me back to, just the whole teaching, the Sufi teachings and how effective it is.
Alhamdulillah. What's your name?
My name is Farhana.
Oh, yeah, right. Wadud and I are coming back to Palo Alto sometime in the spring to teach again, so we'll look for you there, okay?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And
good.
I actually had a question for you because the topic that you have for today really is resonating with me a lot because actually I'm suffering right now, and that's because I think it's been a big journey for us, and I have two daughters, and my younger one is now going to go off to college, and she has been really, really upset with me for a very long time. And I was listening to everything that you've said, and now, it's all kind of, I think she is stuck, and that, a need of hers has not been met. But saying that, I just wanted to ask you, because she doesn't want to talk to me, she doesn't want to see my face, she won't come home when I'm at home. So I'm really I want to know how to deal with this for myself, and I understand that she has her journey, but how can I take care of myself and my feelings and emotions, and I don't want to bother her,
Yeah. Yeah, good. Oh, thank you for your question, Rahana. Oh, that's so painful. This is what happened with my daughter when she was in her teens. That's the way it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you hear my story about how I had to find that place inside of me that she was reflecting?
Yeah. You said you had to go for healing. And
yeah, I went for healing. I only took one time, and I found this place in me that she was reflecting that was putting myself down.
Right.
In the way that she was putting me down. But I didn't know that was there until the healing. You know what I mean? And it might be something different for you. What you just do the healing and then you discover what's in there that might have some connection.
Right. So how would I go about doing this healing? Because I hear this a lot, but I guess I don't have any radar, or I don't know how to go get a healing, and who would do that for me,
Okay, well, many of us do it on the phone, so I do, and Master does, a lot of us do. But there's a lot of people in your area, all those Sufis. Shamsa is very good.
Shamsa?
She does it. Muniba does it. Hasna. A lot of those women down in Palo Alto have graduated from our university, and some of them are really good healers. Salima. Could I have their phone numbers or email? Do you want to email me, Rahana?
Yeah, I will email.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Nura Laird at gmail.com.
Yes. I got your phone number and your email. Thank you for giving that.
I'll send you contact information for several of them. Okay?
Yeah, because I've been trying, but I just haven't placed my finger on what the healing is that
It's hard to do it yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
I could not have done that myself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. And thanks for sharing, because you shared, I got the courage to ask, so I really appreciate it.
Rahana.
Yeah.
I'll see you sometime, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay,
definitely.
Good. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else? No more hands
Nura,
up.
we do have a couple more on the webcast. If I can read a couple from there. And while I'm pulling that up, I want to say to Mary, who asked about recordings and getting on the list, our amazing Mariam Reimer has already checked into it, and she's got you everything you need, and you are set. So
this is Mary Ferraro.
Check your check your inbox. Okay. And for Suzanne, who's asking where is the remembrance from Wadud, go to that sufiuniversity.org/info, and you can start there. You sign up for that 7-day remembrance course. It will it'll give you information about getting plugged. You can get that training and get plugged into those remembrance calls, and it will also give you a link to that remembrance kit. And then there's one other question that let's see.
There's another person with a hand. Oh wait, they just left. It was from Texas. Oh well.
Okay.
There was another hand up. I just noticed, but they left. Okay.
Sometimes if somebody hits it once and then hits it again, it'll go away. So if that was you from Texas, just hit it again. Okay. So just press *2 again. And that it'll raise your hand again. Okay.
There we go.
She's okay. Let me read this one to you. Okay. This is from Tom. It says, "Let Nura know that I almost got this far with my brother making peace. I just, didn't get through this fully, but I see it all clearly now." Okay.
Wow. Hamdu, congratulations, Tom. Keep going. Don't give up.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so we'll go to cell phone in Texas now. Okay, you're unmuted. Area code 210.
Nura?
Yep.
Hi. My name is Zuleika.
Hi, Zuleika. Welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear you and to finally hear you talk, and what you're sharing is something I've needed to hear for a long time, but apparently I've needed to hear it more than ever right now. So thank you.
Is that it, Zuleika?
My question, Nura, is my husband and I were married because we had a child out of wedlock. And so we married to be responsible as parents in bringing a child into the world.
Okay.
And so we've had abortions prior to me saying, I'm going to go ahead and bring this child into the world. So I do have a lot of, I would say, resentment and a lot of fogginess as to the truth in our marriage. And that's spilling over to our daughter because she feels very torn. She will not call her dad. She won't call him anything but he, because it's undefined for her who he really is, because it's not clear in our relationship that we are husband and wife.
How old is she, Zuleika?
Well, she's 15.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a lot of things that have been a part of her life, Nura, that has held me in this place of constantly trying to protect her, just because of her incarnation here. And so I'm not sure if I'm just holding on to that, and I'm not sure if I'm just holding on to the marriage, but I've tried to get work, and I can't get work. So in a way, it has presented with me that I'm really, Allah has me here, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. So it's very confusing and very kind of like a ship being navigated around in circles. And I'm constantly searching for what that purpose Allah has me here, or maybe I'm just not getting it. But I know that there's love here on most days. And when I'm quiet is when the love is felt the most.
With her or with your partner? Or both?
With both of them, when I'm just quiet. But I do a lot of cooking. I do a lot of things to make home. But there's this lost. I feel lost. But that's not a new feeling for me. I think it's a continuation of my father and the lost love I felt there.
Oh, well, this is a big thing that you just said, right?
I maybe, Nura, it's just love is kind of overwhelming for me, so it was very helpful that you went through love.
Yeah, there's a lot more to say about it. Zuleika, do you have anybody locally that you can get healings with? Where in Texas are you?
When we were in Texas, we took our phones here to Virginia. Okay. And I just went to
You're in Virginia.
Retreat in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Pharma Peace.
Yeah.
Had a wonderful time there.
Oh, good.
Very insightful, inspiring, deeply moving. Too much, and I get exhausted because I can identify with young children so well how exhausting it is to actually get a taste of love, and it just wipes me out because I really don't understand that love. And so intellectually it's there, but my heart cannot seem to expand.
Yeah, that's not part of your original nature, though, Zuleika. That's just because of veils. That's healable.
I see.
So all of us, when we are who we really were created to be, when we get back to that, behind all the veils, we know love already, and it's like second nature for us. Allah put it in our hearts before we were even born, is the Sufi teaching. So let me suggest that you find somebody that you met there who's a healer, or there's some students in the university there who have homework to do. Some of them are my students. But there's a lot of people in your region that you could get healings from and begin to work on some of these things, because it's not part of the permanent collection. There's definitely hope for your situation from everything that you've said, and actually your heart's very open, so I don't think it would be that hard to get rid of some of these veils and get back to who you really are and begin to generate more love among the three of you.
I see.
And the other thing about your daughter, I just wonder if it's ever occurred to you, or if this has come up in conversation with her, to let her know that, you know, even though you weren't trying for her at the time, that you're really glad she came and she's really wanted. Have you ever been able to give her that message?
Oh, Nura, I have. I'm just amazed with her. Yeah, I do that.
You do give her that message?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
What I feel that's going on with my daughter...
Can I just ask you real quickly? I'm sorry for interrupting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like her heart's able to take it in?
No.
Okay. That's what you need to help her with.
I see. Okay.
I think I said this earlier. A lot of people can't take in the love that we're sending them because they have a belief that blocks it. And it's very possible she has a belief that says, you know, I wasn't wanted or something like that. And so that belief, until it's cleared, it's just a veil. But it's, you know, beliefs are strong. And until it's cleared, the love can't get past it. Once it's cleared, it can. And somebody can work with her, too, if she's willing.
Okay. I really believe it's a lot between my husband and her.
Yeah, but the thing is, when we have a belief like that, it might be focused on just one person now, but until it's healed, Allah is going to bring it to her in other forms with other people. That's just how it works until she wakes up to it and is ready to clear it. And once she clears it, it'll clear all the way back to the origin. That's just how the healing works.
And Nura, does that origin go back to conception, or does it go back?
I think it probably goes back to pregnancy. Yeah. I had my second child came in like that, even though we were married. I got pregnant when my first one was 5 months old, and I got really freaked out because I was 34, and not that that was old, but I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can handle two babies. And, you know, at one time, and diapers and all that stuff. But it wasn't just the diapers, it was the two babies thing. I wasn't sleeping yet because the first one wasn't sleeping much, and I was nursing, and it was just really hard. And so for the first couple months of my second pregnancy, I had a message going on inside that was saying, I don't know if I can do this. And I wasn't consciously saying, I don't want this child. I was more consciously saying, I don't know if I'm up to it. But guess what? Her translation of it, when she came out, by the time she was 2 or 3, it became clear to me that she had translated that into I'm not wanted. And so I tried really hard when she was little to try to erase that belief by telling her how much I loved her and stuff. And it took, for her becoming a young adult and doing that work on her own, I could not save her from that belief. She had to do her own journey, and she had to find that belief herself. And now I think she's in pretty good shape around it, and she's really she lets love in now very freely, and many, many people send her love. So that's kind of a sign that that block is gone.
Well, Nura, what happened in my pregnancy is I was in the military, and I was 41, and I was considered an older pregnancy.
Yeah.
So they told me what I could do and what I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hardship on me because I just wanted I didn't want their guidance.
Yeah.
So, and my husband wasn't supportive of the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that came through. Came through.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that those little fetuses absorb whatever's going on around them. I think research is showing that now.
I think so too. And that's the piece I don't know, because he never wanted any children with me.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she can't heal it inside of her. Because at this point it's living in her, independent of him at this point. It might have come in because of him in the past, but the past isn't here anymore. But we carry the past through into the present until those veils are cleared by Allah. So now it's her responsibility to clear it. I don't think we can go into it any more right now, Zuleika.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to sit with what I've said, and then if you want to discuss it some more, you can get a hold of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nura.
You're welcome.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Master, is there anything else?
Nura, yeah.
Okay.
If you could just do one more.
Okay.
I think this one hopefully will be relatively quick. This is on the webcast. It's from Romelia. She says, my daughter will start the university in November. I was going to start it next year. Would it be beneficial for our relationship, which is tense, to enroll in the university at the same sessions or in different sessions?
I don't think I can talk about it theoretically as a rule. I'd have to know their situation. Is your daughter Marcella, Romelia? Yeah, I think it is.
Let's see.
Yeah,
this is on webcast.
Yeah, well, so, I think she mentioned her daughter, and I thought she said Marcella, and because I knew there's a Marcella coming into year one, I figured that's probably who it is. So I think it depends on the situation. This is the kind of thing that we should talk about more. I think there are situations where it can work. In my year 2 class that just finished, there was a mother-daughter combination that it went through year 1, year 2, and they went through year 3. They just finished year 3. They're going into year 4, but they're going to be in separate classes. But they did fine in year 1, year 2, and year 3 together, and that's been true before. There have been some that have done fine, and then there have been others that couldn't do it together. I don't think it would have worked for me and Wadud to have done it with our girls. They went later when they were in college. I think it just depends on the situation. If it's already a difficult relationship, she might need her privacy and the freedom to, be who she is in the class. So it just depends on the relationship. But we can talk about it some more offline, Romelia, if you wish. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, Nura, we have been on the phone for going for almost a full hour. So I would like to
2 hours.
Invite us.
2 hours.
2 hours, a full 2 hours, yes. It's a long time. Yeah. So this has been wonderful. I want to thank you so much for all that you've given and, for your teachings and the way that you've been holding the hearts and answering the questions that have been coming in. And I want to invite anyone else who has a question that hasn't been answered, or if you're listening to the recording of this, I know a number of people will be listening to the recording. So if you're listening to the recording and you would like to get questions answered, please, I'm going to give you the contact information again. Nura gave her email, which is Nura Laird, N-U-R-A, and that's Nura as in as in Nancy, U-R-A-L-A-I-R-D as in David, @gmail.com. We have also 2 others who are available to take your emails and phone calls. We have Robert Shea, whose phone number is 717-552-1925, 717-552-1925. You can also email him enrollment@sufiuniversity.org. enrollment at sufiuniversity.org. We also have Donna Jamila Cruz-Finney, and her email is, it's Donna Jamila CF, and I'll spell that D-O-N-N-A, Jamila, J-A, M as in Mary, I-L-A, C as in cat, F as in Frank, at gmail.com. Her phone number is 512-775-7126. 512-775-7126. Now, if you have any questions at all, anything that didn't get answered, or any questions about any of our upcoming programs, or our Sufi University, the Masters of Divinity program that Nura referred to, and several people have referred to, that is going to be starting in November, please contact Robert or Donna. They can help you with that. And as I said, if they can't answer your questions directly, they'll get you to the right place. But they are amazing, and I bet you they can answer your questions. With all of the different options that Nura spelled out about potential next steps, you can find those on one single location. It's sufiuniversity.org/info, I-N-F-O. sufiuniversity.org/info. And with that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being on this call, or for taking the time to listen to the recording if you weren't able to be on it live. We're here because we have a passion to share these teachings and to really help the hearts of everyone to come to know and live in truth. And we, of course, would not be able to do any of this without you. And so your commitment to being here and to taking the time, so there's several people still on the call after this full 2 hours. So I want to thank you for your commitment, and thank you for getting all the way through this call. And we do hope that you'll stay with us. We've got a number of teleclasses coming up. We're going to be doing every other week from now until we've got a total of 4 more calls coming in with amazing topics coming up. So we do hope that you'll join us. We've got some live events, as Nura said. If you have any questions about anything coming up in your area or coming up next in any of our programs, please connect with us. With that, I want to thank you, Nura. And
thank you, Master,
all
and
of
thank
you
you, everybody.
Here.
Yeah. Salam alaikum.
Have a wonderful night. And that assalamu alaikum means peace and blessings be upon you. Thank you.